The act of finding treasure is probably more important than when you find that treasure, but treasures found recently tend to be more exciting. Fortunately, we're not short on stories in that department. The past few years have been exceptionally kind to the world's treasure hunters, both the amateurs and the professionals, and we've collected some of their best stories for you in the making of this video. You'll have seen emeralds before, but never one that looks like this. It was found in Zambia in 2018 and it's enormous. This beautiful green chunk of emerald weighs 2.5 pounds and has been confirmed to be 5,655 carats. When emeralds of this size and quality are found, it's traditional to name them. This one has been given the name Inkalamu, which translates into English as lion. The precious stone was found at the Gemfield mines in Kagem, which is already the world's largest emerald producer and had a reputation for producing quality stones even before this amazing discovery. There's been so much interest in emeralds in recent years that they're now more valuable than diamonds, which means there's probably never been a better time in history for a discovery like this to be made. As impressive as this stone is, it's still not quite the biggest emerald ever found at the mine. That goes to a 6,255 carat rock that was found in 2010 and was nicknamed the Elephant for its enormous proportions. Shipwrecks are often very hard to find, no matter how big the ship or ships we're talking about are. In 1715, 12 huge Spanish ships laden with treasure from the New World set off from Florida on a return journey home. 11 of them never made it. A huge hurricane struck the Floridian coast on July 31st of that year, sending almost all the treasure to the bottom of the ocean. In March 2020, the first traces of that lost treasure were finally found by treasure hunter and metal detectorist Jonah Martinez. He found 22 silver Spanish coins on the beach at the Turtle Trail Beach Access in Indian River County. The combined value of the coins is a little more than $7,000, but that isn't what excites Jonah. All of the coins come from the right era to be associated with the shipwrecks, so he now believes he's close to pinpointing at least one of the wrecks and the far greater treasures they're likely to contain. All he has to do is work out the path the coins took to reach the beach, and that's what he's working on right now. In most parts of the world, there hasn't exactly been much to do between 2020 and 2021. The majority of us have been stuck at home, denied many of the aspects of our work and social routines. It's been a productive time for a few people, though, and especially so for two French brothers. In May 2020, the 10-year-olds were building a den in their garden when they came back indoors to take some bed sheets from their grandmother's room. As they pulled out the bed sheets, two heavy objects fell from the back of the shelves. Their father came to investigate the noise and was astonished to see two solid gold bars with a weight of 2.2 pounds each. The twins' grandmother passed away several years ago and never told the family she was hiding such riches. A full search of the room turned up proof of purchase for the gold bars from 1967. The value of gold has increased during the pandemic, so the current estimated value for the ingots is around $120,000. Forget building a den. The boys can now buy their own luxury garden accommodation. Our next discovery isn't technically recent, but the scale of it has only recently become clear. From 2003 onward, the American Army invaded Iraq in search of weapons of mass destruction. They didn't find any, but they did find gold. And we mean a lot of gold. Many headlines were written about the American capture of Iraqi oil fields, but far less has been written about what you see in these pictures. Troops coming across enormous gold deposits and then seizing them. There are even pictures of soldiers inside oil tankers fully laden with gold. What's odd in this case is that the war happened many years ago, but these pictures didn't begin to appear online until 2014, and didn't become widely circulated until even later than that. By that time, of course, all of this gold had mysteriously vanished from Iraq. Where did it go? Where is it now? What's the protocol that the US Army is supposed to follow when it comes across gold deposits like this? Nobody seems to know for sure, but we suspect that there's a very strong chance all of this gold is now in the United States of America. We've already heard about a pair of 10-year-old twins who made an amazing treasure discovery in France. Now, here's another incredible find from a pair of Israeli teenagers helping out an archaeology project during their summer break in 2020. The youngsters unearthed a clay jar at an archaeological dig site in Yavne, and within the clay jar was a collection of 425 ancient coins. The oldest of them were minted a full 1,100 years ago. Back at the time they were minted, this part of the world was ruled by the Islamic Abbasid Caliphate, a fact that's recorded on the coins. Each of them is made of 100% pure 24-karat gold. Incurring that kind of expense while minting coins would be unthinkable today. It's hard to put a figure on what the collection of coins would be worth at the time they were minted, but Robert Kuhl of the Israeli Antiquities Authority says it would have been more than sufficient to buy a very large house in the most desirable part of the country. Gold coin discoveries are relatively rare because ancient gold was often melted down and used by later civilizations. But whoever buried this jug did an excellent job of hiding them, thus saving them from that fate. Just when you think you've seen every possible kind of ancient Egyptian mummy, something new comes along to surprise you. Check out this mummy discovery from January 2021. It only takes one look to see what's so unusual about it. It's got a solid gold tongue. The unique mummy was found at the ancient site of Taposiris Magna and is approximately 2,000 years old. Archaeologists are at a loss to explain the purpose of the tongue. The theory they're working on at the moment is that the tongue was somehow intended to allow the deceased to speak in the afterlife, and might even have been a replacement for their real tongue, which they might somehow have lost while they were still alive. Alternatively, this individual might have been mute or had a speech impediment of some kind, and their loved ones wanted to ensure the impediment didn't hinder their conversations with Osiris when they entered the underworld. Another mummy burial at the same site was also noted as unusual because the death mask of the deceased woman covered almost her entire body and included a broad smile. The manner of these burials is so different from the average Egyptian necropolis that the experts might be dealing with a localized cult. Why are there so many yellow orbs underneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent in Mexico? Don't look to us for an answer. We were hoping you could tell us. So were the archaeologists who've been photographing and recording the discoveries in recent years. They've encountered hundreds of the spheres, but so far don't have any idea why they're there. The tunnels and chambers beneath the temple are low and narrow, making them difficult for humans to access. So thus far, much of the exploratory work has been performed by robots. That's limited the experts when it comes to examining the orbs, but they've been able to confirm that they're small, no more than an inch in circumference in most cases, and are composed of clay cores inside yellow jarosite covering. They probably weren't always yellow. Jarosite is formed by the oxidation of pyrite, so the spheres would have had a shiny metallic appearance when they were first deposited. There are several hundred spheres in the south chamber alone, and possibly more than 1,000 of them under the temple altogether. Many of the subterranean rooms are believed to have been used by Aztec royalty for burials. so the orbs might be related to that, but we have no idea how. Our next story starts with an everyday purchase from an estate sale. Emil Nodal of Belleville, Texas, USA, paid $100 at an open sale to buy a chest of drawers that had caught his eye because of its marble top. Happy with the purchase, he had the chest taken outside to his car and turned it on its side to load it. At that point, he heard a strange rumbling, tumbling noise inside the chest that sounded like shifting metal. Confused but excited, Emil undertook a thorough examination of the chest by hand and found a hidden secret drawer that the auctioneers had somehow missed. The contents of that drawer were jaw-dropping. It contained cash, rings, gold jewelry, emeralds, and diamonds. There were also a few more intimate, personal items like military dog tags, a lock of hair, and memorabilia from the American Civil War. The dresser is thought to have been built somewhere around 1890, so it's possible that the items were stored by someone related to a soldier from that war. Despite the fact he could have walked away with his surprise loot, kind-hearted Emil immediately got back in touch with the family of the original owner and returned their lost goods. Here's another story of someone buying something at an auction and getting far more than they paid for. The person at the heart of this story wishes to remain anonymous, and you'll quickly see why. In October 2018, the unnamed buyer paid $500 for an abandoned storage unit in South California. The process was similar to the one you might have seen in the popular TV show Storage Wars. When they opened their new unit to take a look inside, they found a safe. It took 2 different safe-cracking experts to eventually break the safe open. But when they did, they found $7.5 million cash inside it. What would you have done at that point? Would you have kept the money? This buyer didn't. They were concerned about the origin of the cash, so they hired an attorney to contact the original owner of the storage unit to negotiate the return of the money. The grateful owner offered $600,000 as a reward, but through the attorney they eventually settled on $1.2 million. That's an excellent return on a $500 investment, and now they have no concerns about the possibility of the money not being clean. Sometimes incredible discoveries are found hiding in plain sight, as if they wanted someone to find them. In July 2019, an astonishing gold leaf treasure turned up in a forest close to Jermaka in northwestern Poland. It was covered by a small pile of leaves, as if it had been placed there that morning. There's no chance of that, though. This ornate clasp dates all the way back to the 5th century. Based on the design of the piece, archaeologists believe that it might have been made by a founder who traveled from place to place, looking for people to sell his wares to. The news came as a big surprise to local foresters, who patrol the area regularly and insist they'd already have found the clasp if it had been there for longer than a week. To add to the mystery, staff from the local museum were called out and discovered a further 3 silver clasps in the surrounding area. Either the foresters have missed incredible antiques that have been right under their noses for centuries, or someone ditched a rare and valuable collection of 5th century artifacts in the forest and ran away. We can't decide which would be weirder. This is another story about treasure being found because someone found a hidden drawer in an antique piece of furniture. Take this as a sign. If there's an old chest of drawers in your house and you've never given it a close inspection, go and do it when you're done with this video. This time, it's an extremely rare 14th century gold coin that was found inside a wooden bureau that 37-year-old Amy Clapp of Derbyshire, England, inherited from her great-aunt. Amy didn't know what to make of the bureau, so she took it to an auctioneer to be valued. That's when the highly prized artifact was found. The coin has quite a mouthful of a name. It's a Raymond IV Prince of Orange Franc a Pied, minted in 1365. Amy never met her great-aunt, so she has no idea why she gave her the bureau. Nor does she have any idea whether her distant relative knew the coin was hiding inside it. The bureau itself is worth little more than $100, but the coin sold at auction for more than $5,000. Amy donated some of the proceeds to charity. In 2014, the greatest ever collection of Viking Age treasures ever found in the United Kingdom was discovered by chance in Galloway, Scotland. It's now known as the Galloway Hoard. Not all of the valuable artifacts that make up the hoard were looking their best when they were pulled out of the ground after such a long burial. So cleaning them up has been a long, slow, delicate process. In December 2020, we saw one of the most spectacular results of that process. It's this beautiful silver Anglo-Saxon cross, which now looks just as stunning as it did on the day it was made 1,000 years ago. Based on the quality of the piece, archaeologists believe that it was made either for a very high-standing cleric or a member of a royal family. The transformation is incredible when you consider the scuffed, orange, rust-covered object it was when it came out of the ground. The symbols on the four arms, which represent Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, weren't even visible back then. They were a detail that the restoration team was delighted to find when they worked on the piece. Is this the greatest individual item in the whole Galloway hoard? Well, we'll have to wait and see what the rest of them look like when they're cleaned up before we can say for sure. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and enjoy watching new videos on my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you soon!